Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all praises and double honors due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, or Malak Yahushai. Secondly, this is Brother Yardan, WFI Detroit, coming back at you with yet another Cold Cup. Today in this Cold Cup, we're going over a few precepts of the role of a shepherd. And not only that, but how to be a brother's keeper. Both of them kind of go hand in hand, but I'm going to let the scriptures do the talking. Well, actually, before we get there, I want to Google the role and duties of a shepherd. A shepherd's primary responsibility is the safety and welfare of the flock. Some flocks may include as many as 1,000 sheep. The shepherd will graze the animals, herding them to areas of good forage and keeping a watchful eye out for poisonous plants. And this is very relatable to being in the truth, because our brothers, all of us, were referred to as sheep in the truth, right? In this thing, the Most High referred to as the sheep, right? All together we make up the flock, right? And having the flock, you have to have a shepherd. Yahushua is the true shepherd, but he also ordained men to go out there on the highways and byways to also be a shepherd, to help guide Israel and navigate them in a righteous way, being in this world. So we're going to dive into the scriptures, just pull out a few precepts. John chapter 16, verse 21, verse 15. So when they dined, Yahushua said to Peter, Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, Feed my lambs, right? He said to him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my sheep. He said unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved, because he said unto him the third time, Lord, thou knowest all things, thou knowest that I love thee. Yahushua said unto him, Feed my sheep. All right, so the reason why the Lord asked 3 times is because for emphasis. And not only that, 3 is spiritual, it's righteousness. Hell, even in a world, Esau adopted that 3, how things happen in 3s in comedy, and they incorporated it into comedy. I believe you have something called the rule of 3s, right? You say it 3 times for much more emphasis, right? So anyway, the Lord is talking to Simon. He's saying, feed my lambs, feed my sheep, feed the flock, pretty much. And the Lord isn't talking about actual fluffy type of, sheep, like the picture we just seen a few moments ago, but more so Israel. He's speaking about Israel. We have to feed the sheep. And you can't feed your sheep with cheeseburgers and, milkshakes and cookies and things of that nature. You have to feed them with things that's sufficient for them. You have to feed them with things that's appropriate for them to digest. And again, speaking on a spiritual level, for those who have ear, let them hear. They have grass, and the grass is the scriptures. Bring out the precept. This is Psalms chapter 23, verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Right? In other words, this should be self-explanatory, but I'm going to break it down again for those who just may not know. The Lord, Yahushua, he's our shepherd, right? And with him, we will not want anything because we have enough, because he provides for us. After all, that's the role and the duty of a shepherd, right? It's their responsibility to feed the flock, right? And a true righteous shepherd, such as Yahushua, he will never say, oh, I forgot to feed the flock, or I forgot to kind of help you guys out, right? He's always going to do it. So we have to see that in the way Yahushua operates and how he operated being in the scene and applied to our life being in his walk. As a lot of new babes come into this truth, we have to feed them diligently and accordingly. Verse 2, he maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Again, the green pastures are the scriptures. When we have a rough day and we are going through hell in the household, the Lord directs us back to the scriptures because that's where you find the answers. That's how you gain nourishment. That's how you grow in his walk. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of the righteous for his name's sake. And again, similar to the definition that we just read, a shepherd's primary responsibility is the safety and welfare of the flock. I'm going to jump down to herding them to areas of good forage. So Yahweh Shemel Shai, our shepherd, he led us into the scriptures. Because prior to us knowing about the Bible and the Lord and Hebrew and our culture and the fringes and the Shabbat, prior to that, we was niggas in the world. We was on mountains, we was being tossed to and fro by men's words and enticed by every different doctrine. But the Lord, he's choosing his select, and now he's navigating them towards the Bible, which is the green pastures. Verse 4, Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Now, I'm going to break down piece by piece. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. The valley of the shadow of death is modern day America, also known as Babylon the Great or Egypt 2.0. We call it a valley of the shadow of death because that's exactly what it is. It's a valley and it's a shadow of death. We know the freaks come out at night. All wickedness happens at night, right? Death happens at night. So America is a valley of the shadow of death because there's no justice, there's no true light, there's no true wisdom, right? People are literally being put to death in this valley. However, being in this truth and having faith and keeping the commandments, we fear no evil. That's similar to Ecclesiastes 8th chapter and 5th verse. I'll get it real quick. Ecclesiastes chapter 8 verse 5. Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing. A wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. That's self-explanatory. Plain upon tables. Back to Psalm chapter 23. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And a rod and a staff, yes, it's true, is meant for correction. And best believe he corrects us daily. He chastises us daily with the rod and the staff, but it's also used for correction. Us like for protection. I'll get a few precepts. Proverbs 13:24. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him times. And it's a fact that the Lord does chastise us with his rod. And that's a righteous thing. And sometimes you got to get like that with sheep. And the thing is, when you chastise a sheep, yeah, they feel it, but they know it's out of love, right? And shepherds actually have the rod and the staff. The rod to kind of pull their neck and guide them, and the staff, or it's like the staff with the hook, pull their neck to guide them, and they also got the rod kind of, hey, move this way, right? And when you look at a sheep, they don't start crying, they don't start yelling, they deal with it. They deal with the correction. So that's another thing that we can learn of the animals. And I say learn of the animals because it tells us in Job 12:7, but ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. There's a lot of information that we can gain from watching nature, right? There's a lot of information that we can write down, and that we can apply to our life by simply observing the beast of the field. Psalms chapter 23. I want to get another one more precept regarding the staff. Ezekiel 28. Slipping my mind. '20 and 37. This is this is speaking about the wilderness. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face when we meet Yahushua again, Aparatazah, which is the Father's will in the Hebrew. Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, said the Lord God. So this is letting us know that we will go through the wilderness all over again, similar to our forefathers in the days of old. Verse 36, verse 37. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. Right? And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. However, you will have people in the wilderness not make it because they got stubborn, their heart got hardened. They don't want to they don't want to do, they don't want to follow the order pretty much on how it's going to be set up. So the Lord's going to chastise them with his rod, right? And he'll also make us pass under the rod. In other words, it will be corrected. Back to Psalms 23. Psalms 23 and verse 5. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. So we have more than enough. We have more than what we need, right? And this is a cut for you Israelites that want to venture off into those different books. Brother, the Bible is more than enough. You can read this Bible twice and it will reveal something to you twice. Right? You can read it 3 times, you can figure out, it's like you can read it 3 times and you'll discover something new that third time. So in other words, it's bottomless. It's a bottomless well of information. So when he said, "Thou prepared this table for me," what's on the table? Uno cards and Connect Four and spades, and Xbox controller, and gum, and chips. What's on that table is a plethora of knowledge and wisdom that'll be sufficient for you to be that's sufficient enough for you being in this valley of the shadow of darkness. Because you gotta remember, when there's darkness, there is no growth. So you're not getting no type of proper food, but the Lord prepares that food before us. So let me get a precept. So like, yeah. Oops. This is Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1. Wisdom hath builded her house. She hath hewn, meaning cut or to chop, out her 7 pillars. She hath killed her beast. She hath mingled her wine. She hath also furnished her table. She hath sent forth her maidens. She cried upon the highest place of the city. So, wisdom hath killed her beast. She hath mingled her wine. She hath furnished her table. That's Slakia. That's what Psalms the 23rd chapter and 5th verse is speaking about, where he has furnished the table. That's similar to the book of Matthew, the 21st chapter. So what I want. So like yeah, Matthew 22 and 3. 4. Again he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen, and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready come unto the marriage. Right, that's just a precept to Psalms, the 23rd chapter. And now I get another one. It's Revelation 3 and 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. So the door is your mind, and Yahushua is knocking. The Lord is knocking so he can come in and sup with you. But when you ignore him, hey, guess what? You neglecting wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You're depriving yourself of true wisdom. Wisdom that'll allow you to discern good from evil. Wisdom that'll allow you to operate righteously in this world and to abstain from every false way. That's why there are certain pictures and paintings of Yahushua, or they make it that white Jesus of knocking at the door. They got that from Revelation, the 3rd chapter, and the 20th verse. In fact, I was in my grandparents' house. I want to see if I can find it. There you go. They got this from Revelation 3 and 20. See that? So when Yahushua is knocking at the door, it'll behoove you to open up so he can give you wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Let the true shepherd guide you. And on another level, for you brothers, hey, when you read all of this and take into account and commit it to your memory, then you know how, or now I should say, you should understand how to properly guide your brothers and your sisters in this walk. This is 2 Peter chapter 5, verse 2. So like here. Feed the flock of God which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre's sake. It's like not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind. Right? This is a wise saying that the modern day priests and pastors do not take heed to, because they're too busy doing it for a filthy lucre's sake. Right? And not of a ready mind. So they got scrambled, their mind is scrambled eggs. Their mind is inside out. They got waffle brain, bird brain, whatever you want to call it. They're twisted, right? They have an inappropriate mind. So as a result of that, they take money from your people. They started to saying, shall a man rob God? And pass around a collection plate, put ATMs in the building, get the metal wand detectors, make sure you got your card and shit. So, point is, you got to feed the flock of God, which is among you, and taking oversight thereof. As we read in a carnal sense, or on a carnal level, the shepherd's job is to take oversight of the sheep and of the lamb, and to make sure that they don't fall in a way that is not good for them. He also tells us this as well in the 3rd verse, neither as being lords over God's heritage, but being examples to the flock. Right? And you don't want to lord over, brothers. That's why I stated in the very beginning, this is really exhortation. But again, in the beginning I stated, it's how to become a true shepherd and also being your brother's keeper. And as you continue to read, it tells you and teaches you how to, move righteously. For the things that's written aforetime are written now for our learning and understanding, that we today may have hope. Micah chapter 2, verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you even with sore destruction. Right? He says, arise, because a lot of our people, they're laying down. They're the sheep with the wool over their eyes, not being able to see and discern righteousness from wickedness. And, and they find it to be their rest. You have certain people where they say, oh, this America, this is my rest. This is the place where I need to be. This is my life. I love my country. Right? But this is not your rest. The scriptures, that's your rest. That's where you get comfort and wisdom and knowledge and understanding and get true counsel. Not in this world where there's no light. Verse 12. I will surely assemble, O Jacob, all of thee. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I will put them together as the sheep of Basra, as the flock in the midst of their fold. They shall make a great noise by reason of the multitude of men. So that's Israel being likened unto sheep. When you read in 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter, and the 25th verse on down, it gives us a list of the Most High's favorite things. Let's get to the root, to the one I want. Verse 26, and of all the fowls of the and of all the fowls that are created, thou hast named thee one dove. Right, the dove is his favorite. You know, even Noah took the dove and sent it out after the raven. And of all the cattle that are made, thou hast provided thee one sheep. The Lord is dealing with the meek and the humble. That's why it stated in the book of Matthew, the 5th chapter, the 5th verse. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. All right, so if you remain meek, then the Lord will deal with you and bring you up. And I was reading that early in the book of James. That's the spirit. Where you at? Where you at? James, the 3rd chapter. Through 4 and 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts. Ye double-minded, be afflicted, and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to heaviness. That's the point I wanted. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. So when you humble yourself as a sheep, the Lord is going to deal with you mightily. This is the first time I'm Googling this, but I just want to see what might pop up. Let's humble the oldest professions. Sheep are smarter than you think. They recognize. Look at that sheep. Tend to the flock, but care for the individual. Bread. See this? A lot of these things in notes. Well, a lot of these things in notes, they're applicable to this walk. Sheep are gentle, sensitive, animals who are emotionally calm. Well, you get the gist. That's really just what I wanted. Sheep are gentle animals. Not to say Israel, we got to be soft punks and tweeting our thumbs around and take a punch, because you still got there's a balance. Still got to be bold as a lion as well. The Lord also sees us as a lion, but I'm just touching on one part, one aspect of it. But With that, I bid Israel Shalom, stay strong, Shabbat Shalom, and have a mighty Shabbat.